Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I'm going to make a video today, mostly because I'm really pissed off. And the girls know it. So I had a really bad experience yesterday at Danville auction in Danville, Ohio. Danville is known for their goat sales, and I've always heard good things about them. And some of the other sales that are much closer to me don't really specialize in goats, and they mostly sell nothing but culls and goats going to the meat markets. But Danville supposedly have back to the farm sales specifically separated as back to the farm. And I had a buck. We called him Bucky. Purebred Kiko. I bought him from Angela Trapp Smith in Barnesville, Ohio. Angela is known for her high quality Kiko goats. And she had a couple that were pretty much commercial. But Bucky, he had an incredible pedigree. He hadn't been registered. But I bought him from her to breed my commercial herd. And he was a heck of a buck. So the does are all bred. I don't really have housing. I had him separated from the does, but I didn't have a wether or anything to have with him, and he wasn't happy being by himself. He'd cry when he couldn't see the girls anymore, and so I didn't really want to feed him for a year when I didn't have any use for him, plus leaving him alone. So it was time for him to go, which was the original plan, was to buy a buck, get him bred, and sell the buck. So yesterday he went to Danville auction, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life, and I have to blame Danville for the majority of the bad outcome. So stay with me and I'll explain just what happened and why I say that. So it started out about a month before I took Bucky. I talked to a guy from Danville auction, and he said, well, when you're getting ready to bring him down, let me know, and we'll advertise him for you, being a good buck that he is. I said, awesome. So about 2 weeks before, well, because of winter, they're only having auctions the first and third Saturday of each month. So about middle of October, or now about the end of October, I tried calling to let him know I was going to bring him down on the sale for November 19th. And I called, got a voicemail, left a message, called me, nobody called. Tried again a couple days later, maybe a week later, left a message, nobody called. So I went to their Facebook page and I messaged them on Facebook, and I said, hey, I'm going to bring this buck down. He's a purebred Kiko. Going to bring him down on the 19th. And here's a picture of him. And could you post him at least on your Facebook page or do something? No response to the message. Never posted him. Never got anything. So I took him down on the 19th, and we were there very early. Probably there by 8 o'clock. Sale starts at 11. And it was a special dairy goat sale, and I was aware of that. But also on their Facebook page, they had said they had consigned 2 total herd displacement farms were consigned of boar goats. And I thought, well, that works out great. Somebody might want a Kiko buck to breed to their boar herd. So being that they're going to have a lot of meat goats there in addition to their dairy goat sale, that should work out well. So we took him down, had him there early. And here's what happened. So they had told me, when you check him in at the docks, make sure you tell them he's for back to the farm, because they'll sell separately than the culls and the meat. And I said, that's great. That's the way I'd like to see it. So I stressed to them at the dock, he's for back to farm, and here's his pedigree. I gave them all the papers, told them that he had come from told them he had come from Angela Trap Farms, which is a well-known Kiko breeder in Ohio. Had all that written down for him, gave him the paperwork. So they sold all the dairy first. That's fine. And then they got into the boars. And they sold boar after boar, hundreds and hundreds of these boars. They just kept coming. My wife just said, Jesus, there's no end to them. And they sold all the boars. And when they were selling the boars, they would, a lot of times the paperwork would get handed to the auctioneer as they brought a goat out. And they would say, oh, okay, this one is bred to a pure boar buck, due to kid mid-January. You know, they gave a lot of information about each individual goat as they sold it. And I thought to myself, that's great. That's going to work out. You know, the papers that I brought going to help sell Bucky. So they sold hundreds of boars. And finally the boars ended and they started bringing out culls. Still no Bucky. So there's culls come out. There's you know, those didn't even tell breeds. There were some dairy, there were some probably boar dairy crosses, a lot of them with extra teats, and some of them with bad feed, and one came out, was probably almost a yearling that probably weighed 40 pounds. It was nothing but bones. Just, you know, pure culls is what was coming out. Still no Bucky. Crowd started leaving. There were probably 300 bidders there when the sale started. And I would say the sale got down to about 20 people left because there was nothing but junk coming out. Everybody left. And then they brought Bucky out. And as you'll hear at the beginning, I did audio of them. You're not allowed to video or take pictures at these sales because of PETA, I suppose. But I did audio of the actual selling of Bucky. And you'll hear in the audio at the beginning, he says, last goat. This is the last goat they have. Last goat sold. After all the calls, after the crowd's totally gone, they bring out a registered Kiko. Well, no, I'm sorry, he wasn't registered, but he could have been. A purebred, registered Kiko buck. After all the calls. Nobody left there to bid. And you'll hear him say, last goat. No mention of pedigree, no mention of the papers, no mention of where he came from, the breeder. Just, last goat, here he is, sold. And you'll hear the audio.
Hey, last goat. Hey, man, get a ball here. Oh, not quite. Almost. He got the better say 100 and I think maybe 150, 20, 30. Hit 30, 130, 40, 55, 60, 100, hit 60, 130, now 5, 170, so 165. Iron, I'm going to be 46. Put him on 4, 46 on 4.
So as you can hear, the duration of that audio from the time he said last goat till he said sold 165 was 29 seconds. That's how long Bucky was in the ring. A purebred, high pedigreed Kiko buck was in the ring, 29 seconds to sell. So if all this that happened wasn't bad enough, here's how it ended. I went to complain and I asked for somebody in charge. And they took me to a guy and I said, you know, I knew he's Amish. I got to watch my language. I couldn't say the things I really wanted to say. But I very nicely said, why in the world didn't you take his paperwork out and explain what he was and say anything about him? You just sold him like a call. And he said, oh, yeah, your paperwork's still laying over there. I guess they just missed it. Sorry about that. And he walked away and started moving gates to load goats. Didn't do anything to help me. Too bad. Never again.